Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another videos of the paid requests for Efree. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things are down below in the info box. And this is for, I just technically, how do I word it? So, Star Trek fan films are a pretty humongous thing. There's a lot of them. You just type Star Trek fan film on YouTube, you will find it's probably, forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's probably the franchise that has the most fan films made about it. I know Michael Keane, uh, Phantasm, MLKAEF Enterprises. He has made some Star Trek fan films. And you know what? If Michael watches, I love for him to be like, his thoughts on random fan films or a ranking of fan films. Which does he think is the best? What does he think is the worst? But maybe he's like, well, I don't want to be... Well, you're not being mean. You're just being honest. Because he's more the expert than me, Michael Keane. So I'm sure he's seen this one. World Enough and Time, which was part of Star Trek New Voyages. I guess a series of fan films these guys, James Cawley and others did. I guess this one had a little bit more noticeable quality because I guess Walter Koenig knew these guys and kind of helped get the idea going that, hey, you know, there's an idea for Sulu. And then this other guy, the director Zikri, sorry, I butchering his name, he decided to join in. Now, granted, this is a non-profit fan film, but they were able to get more professional people on it. George Takei is a big part of it. And when you see it on YouTube, the director explain a bit about what this is, and he kind of views it as the Captain Sulu pilot that we never got. And he said he pitched it to CBS, and apparently CBS said no. I guess it was nominated for a Hugo Award. It won a TV Guide Award. Of course, people are, well, is that really fair? Because it's a fan film, but at the same time, it's like, well, I mean, it's kind of funny you get all these awards, but you don't get paid for it because you can't. Because otherwise you get sued. But I remember reading up something about the director and the crew were mad at each other, and the director had a meltdown. He doesn't mention this when he opens up the video. Of course he wouldn't, but I'm just saying, you look up some info. Apparently some of those things happened, but good luck trying to find any info on that now. Apparently there's like old articles where this happened, but I'm sure no one's going to talk about it now because they don't want to be too mean. It's like, you're not being mean, you're being honest. I want to know more about that, what happened with that. But anyway, fans, I guess, were doing episodes in New York. Some people got involved. George Takei, of course, Sulu. He's a big part of this. He's pretty much the star of the episode. And it begins with him on the Excelsior. And then the rest of it is him flashed back to a time when he was on the Enterprise. And long story short, the Enterprise, they go into the Romulan neutral zone because these Romulans, 3 ships, are attacking this cargo ship. It gets destroyed, but then they're trapped in this, what do you call it? Ripples in space and time continuum. Like they're trapped in these ripples, which will lead to like multiple dimensions and other stuff and time periods. So they're trapped there and they need to find a way to get out. In order to do that, they need these coordinates. So Sulu and this other girl, Dr. Lisa, they go over to try to get the coordinates and come back. But then there's an explosion. They're not able to come back. So Scotty tries to transport them, beam them up but he couldn't quite do it. But he has a Sulu signal, but the Sulu he brings back is a Sulu who is 30 years older, played by George Takei, who looks more like a barbarian, longer hair, because apparently him and that girl had landed on a planet and was there for 30 years, and now him and also his daughter have been brought onto the Enterprise. And then the rest of the episode is them trying to figure out what to do next, how to get out of here. Sulu doesn't remember the coordinates. Mind meld, is they able to fix it? Drugs, is they able to get the memory back? While Kirk is talking with Sulu's daughter until you get to the finale. Now, with that said, I liked it. For a fan film, I thought this was pretty good. The way they redid the opening titles with the music and the text of the font of the titles were very, very close to the original show. To keep in that tone. The way it was shot, the color timing seemed to fit with the show back in the day, as well as the music usage. The story was interesting enough to keep me intrigued to see what would happen next. George Takei, I don't really care about his politics, but I did like him as an actor. It definitely time for him to shine. So that was cool to see. The other people, the guy who played the younger Kirk grew on me, James Cawley, because it's one of those tough things of what do you do? Do you try to mimic William Shatner and the way he talks? But if you do it, especially too much, it'd be looked at as a parody. I'm talking like William Shatner. So if you can't do that, because it would be looked at as a parody and to laugh at, then I thought he got the spirit down of Kirk. I actually, again, he grew on me, and the more I saw him, the more I liked him. Guy who played Spock was fine. Guy who played Scotty, which is weird, they had like a little mustache. I guess maybe the guy didn't want to shave his mustache. But he was fine. I mean, he was... The one I really had an issue with is probably Bones, McCoy. Because nothing about him seemed like McCoy. So I would say that was, I thought, the weakest one. I thought the guy who plays Sulu was the best one. But then he's not in it a lot because of the plot, where it's mostly the older George Takei. But the younger Sulu I actually liked. I actually thought that and the younger Chekhov, which he's not in a whole lot, but I thought he got the voice down pretty pat. But again, the guy who's Spock and Scotty, they're fine. And then again, the guy who's McCoy is like, I think he's the one that was hard for me to buy. The special effects, I will admit there's a part of me that I wish they would have used just model work, like it would have been on the old show. But they use a lot of CG. Granted, I'm sure it would have cost a lot more to use those antiquated effects. But I'm just saying, if you're trying to mimic the old show, then you should do the effects like they would have done on the old show. And if you can't do it, then don't do it because they couldn't do it back then. But, you know, that's just me being nitpicky. But it had the spirit of the show where it has some good emotion. I thought George Takei did a pretty decent job. And they have a little bit more depth to the character than what you usually got to see on Star Trek. Dr. Lisa, the girl that goes with the younger Sulu, I didn't really care for her because she seemed like she stuck out. Like the way she talked, her attitude seemed a bit too modern. Because like the other people, they're trying to act a little bit like how these folks were back in the day. While Dr. Lisa, she just her cadence seemed a bit more modern and it just didn't fit. So I didn't really care for her. But the daughter character I didn't mind. I thought That was fine. And the interactions that Kirk had with Spock and company, even though it's different actors, there are elements that did make me remind me of the older Star Trek, which I love the older Star Trek. I have up there, you can't see it, the older, well, I'd have, to put it away, I'd have to move a bunch of stuff. It would take like 10 minutes to do it. Well, like 3 minutes, but I have the older DVD sets of Star Trek. The one in the yellow, blue, and red clamshell case things. That was before they redid it, whereas like you could have the remastered new special effects or the other ones. Those are the ones were just the old ones, so. But I love the original Star Trek. And I could see elements of that in this where they got the spirit right. Like when Kurt's talking to Spock about what they need to do next. And I like the line where Kurt says, I always make sure plan A worked. Which, if you're wondering how that gets put into it, I would say if you like Star Trek, give it a watch. It's on YouTube for free. The story of Sulu's daughter being caught in between, so she can't go through the ship too much. But she's still there, and that gets into the plot later on about her being in between, these dimensions and stuff. So again, I liked seeing George Takei. He definitely took it seriously. He didn't do this as just, oh, it's a fan film. No, he really took this seriously. I could appreciate that because I think he knew for his theaters finally given a bit of depth to partake in. There's some good emotion in the third act, which I'll get to, and spoilers. It kept me intrigued enough to see what would happen next. And production value wise, for a fan film, they had a lot of effect shots. Like, what was it, 700 effect shots? Like, they had a lot. Because most fan films don't have this much stuff. Now, granted, it is CG, so again, I'm one of those guys that just I appreciate the models more, and that's just what I prefer. But it's a fan film, so I'm giving leniency to that. Granted, they had some professional people here, but then no one could get paid for it, so it's like, tough. You're dealing with CG or you did nothing at all. Tough titty. One other thing that I thought was weird was, in the spoilers, Kurt starts talking to Sulu's daughter, and he starts macking on her. Like flirting with her. They almost like kiss in the elevator. I'm like, dude, this is Sulu's daughter. That was a bit weird. I thought it was a bit. I think even for Captain Kirk, that'd be a bit scummy. You know what I mean? To go after Sulu's daughter, even that seemed a bit Stevie. So I didn't care for any of that at all. I thought that should have been cut out. He could be friendly to her, but and the whole her breaking down who Turk is and how he meets all these women, but he's never happy. I'm like, are you Dr. Phil? Is this something they're trying to put in because George Takei and William Shatner don't like each other in real life? Is that something George Takei told them to do? Like to try to have a below the belt shot at Shatner or as Kirk? I don't know. But granted, there's other times where Sulu, especially the younger Sulu, says how great Kirk is. So there's that too. And I don't know. I didn't really care for that whole bit of him trying to kiss Sulu's daughter. I thought you didn't need that. But I did like the finale. I thought it came together fairly well, in my opinion. Getting more into spoilers. They have the idea, because they try other options. They try to blast through, but Doesn't quite work out. They go, well, we have this bit that might be the younger Sulu. We may be able to get him back, but if we do, you're not going to have any, memories. And then they realize that the daughter's atoms are breaking down, so if we're able to break free, we're not going to have the energy, among other stuff, to bring her fully back. We can't bring her back to the planet. It's just one of those things. If the ship and the people die, then more than likely she'll be back on the planet. But if they're able to escape, more than likely she'll die. And Sulu, being the father, is like, nope, no one's touching my daughter. But the daughter, she talks him down and goes, if I go back there by myself, you think that's going to be better? And I got to see the ship and let me do the right thing. And it's a nice emotional part. George Takei plays it very well, where he doesn't want it and he struggles to the transporter. Just do it. Tears in his eyes. I thought George Takei pulled it off very well, and that's definitely one of the big positives about this, and I did enjoy it for that aspect. So then they're able to get the younger Sulu, who gets the coordinates in, and the daughter's looking like, wow, look how young he is. I thought the way they handled this was fairly good, where they're able to break out, and Kirk turns, and she, by the time he turns, she's gone. I thought that was handled in a respectful manner instead of seeing her, literally disappear. And the look on him and Spock's face, I thought, sold the scene well enough. I did like the scene between Kirk and the younger Sulu afterward. I thought that was actually a decent acting sequence for both of them. And that's when, like, James Cawley grew on me, and I did overall like his portrayal of Kirk. I said I did like the younger Sulu. I wish he was in it more. Then it goes back to the present, where the present-day Sulu talks with his daughter, a different daughter, who has a granddaughter, and you find out that Sulu did remember a thing or two. Now, granted, it's funny that the daughter agreed. You would think she would get to name her daughter. No, her dad, Sulu, gets to name her daughter. I thought that was a bit weird. Daughter, you can't name your kid. Bullshit. I get to name your kid. But do what I say. I'm like, I don't even get to name my own kid? What the fuck? Because she's like, well, what's that name about? And he's like, you used to have a sister. Granted, why he tells her now because he had this whole, hour-long flashback. But either way, this was entertaining enough. I mean, what was it? Joss Whedon, I guess, said this is like the best Star Trek episode ever. I wouldn't go that far, Joss. Mr. Whedon. Granted, he's pretty much canceled, so he wouldn't be able to say anything anyway. He's hiding in a bunker somewhere because he pissed off too many people. But, no, I wouldn't call it the best Star Trek episode. Like, come on. But for a fan project, very commendable. Commendable. Again, certain aspects that with the effects and some of the acting, again, the guy who played McCoy wasn't big on. It's not 100%, but the story elements, Kirk trying to slip his dick into Sulu's daughter, I thought was a bit weird. But for the most part, its heart was in the right place. Had a decent bit of an emotional ending about moral quality and what you're willing to do for your fellow man or woman. And it was a good showcase for Sulu for those who are a fan of that character. And George Takei at least had a bit to play with because of it. which was nice to see. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye bye for now.